Hello, and thank you for attending SAGE Alerts and Workflow video-based training. Please note that this is video-based training, and content is for training purposes only and intended for new and existing SAGE Alerts and Workflow customers.
Hi, my name is Jane Nichols, and today we are going to talk about calculations in query design for the alerts and automation solution. Note that this is part one in a two-part series on calculations. We are going to begin by working in the CRM application. We are going to talk about creating a calculation that identifies those sales opportunities that have been closed where the realized revenue is less than a certain percentage of their forecast revenue. So we're going to look for the query description, and it's going to be opportunities realized revenue is less than a percentage of the forecast. So I've opened the query, and we're going to start our work on the columns tab. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the columns tab. Click on the button Add Calculated Column. This opens the Calculation Wizard window. The top portion is a list of advanced calculations that you can perform. Right below that is a list of fields or columns from tables for this query. And just to the right is a list of date variables that can be used in your calculations. This topic will be covered in the second part of our calculations in query design. The bottom window is Calculated Columns Workbox. This is where we will assemble the calculations that we wish to perform. First, we are going to choose the field that includes the realized amount of the opportunity. So I'm going to click into the Search Database Solutions, and I am going to pull up the realized amount field. Once I find it, I double-click and it moves it down to my workbox. Now, in order to perform the calculation that we are interested in, we are going to take that field or its value and multiply it by 100. And to make sure that this happens first, we're going to go ahead and put parentheses around it. To finish this calculation, we will divide, and so we're going to add the divide symbol, and we're going to divide it by the field that contains the sales potential of the opportunity that was closed. So we are looking for the planned amount. So I'm going to go back up to my database columns, back it up, and I'm going to look for the planned amount. Once I find it, I double click, and it moves it down into my workbox. And my calculation is done. So I will click OK and return to the main columns tab. Now, if I go to the end of the selected columns, down here, I can go ahead and click on the last page. And at the very end of this query, the calculation appears as the most recently added column. If I want to make changes, I can go ahead and click on the blue box and edit and make changes. Now, since this is OK and I don't have to change anything, I'm going to click OK. But I do need to change the default customized name. The solution automatically assigns a name to that field. So I'm going to click into that field and remove the default, and we're going to call it actual underscore revenue underscore PCT for percentage. So we now have a column that contains the results of this calculation, and the results can now be put in an outgoing alert message. If you look at the name of this description, we actually need to perform a test on the results of that calculation. We only want to see those opportunities where the realized revenue is less than a certain percentage of the forecast revenue. So we need to use this calculation again, but this time as a filter. So we're going to jump to the Filters tab. And once again, we're going to click on the Add Calculated Column button. Once again, I'm going to look for that realized amount field. And once I find it, I will double click and move it into my workbox. I'm going to multiply that value by 100 and surround it by my parentheses. And finally, I'm going to divide it by the forecasted amount here, and that is our planned amount. I'm going to come back up to my database columns and look for my planned amount and put it into the workbox by double clicking. Note that I could have easily copy and pasted that calculation syntax from my columns tab to my filters tab. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up by clicking OK. The calculated column that we just created is now listed in our column selected for filtering. Now in our case, we need to specify that this calculation or this realized revenue is less than, so I'm going to change our operator to less than, and in the compare value, it's going to be less than a certain percentage of the forecast. So we're going to leave that question mark in the compare value, making it a parameter-driven field. This allows one query to be used in multiple events. So one event could be looking for less than 50%, while another is looking for less than 60%, and so on. The value we will be checking again, which is called the threshold, is a numeric threshold. So we're going to need to change our data type to number. And because this is a parameter-driven field, we need to specify the prompting text for this filter. So we're going to move over to our optional prompt, and we're going to key in the actual revenue is less than what percentage of forecast. And at this point, we can now test our query by clicking on the preview button. Here is our parameter-driven filter. We will say that we only want to see those opportunities that were closed, that the realized revenue was less than 50%. So I'll go ahead and key in 50 in the answer field. Click on the blue C preview button, and it will bring up my results window. Now I've confirmed that my calculations are indeed valid, and I can go ahead and update and save my query. This concludes our discussion on calculations in query design, part 1 for the alerts and automation solution. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you for attending SAGE Alerts and Workflow video-based training.